Hello friends and enemies, welcome to my long-awaited recap of my Writemas aka Vlogmas writing edition. I don't know whether I should blame New Year's Eve celebrations or just the fact that I had already hit my 50,000 word target, but at the time of recording this, it is now January 7th, we are a week into 2025 and I have not written anything, which sounds kind of bad when I say it out loud and I kind of put it that way, but it's actually a good thing. I feel like I'm someone who's very 0 or 100, there's no like in between, and that's kind of what it felt like while I was sprinting and doing my Writemas challenge. So a writing break is much needed and I'm very happy that I took some time away from my project. With that said, let's recap what I had done during Writemas. So according to my writing history in Scrivener, for the month of December, I have written 50,914 words in the draft, 6,852 words in other documents for a total of 57,766 words. So I can also see that my average per day in December, I wrote 1,642 words in the draft, 221 words elsewhere, for a total of 1,863 words written on average per day, which is pretty good. I was kind of following the NaNoWriMo standard of writing 50,000 words within 30 days, and usually what they have for the daily word count is around 1,600 words, so I feel like I was hitting a pretty good spot. My minimum words written in a day was negative 333 words in the draft, negative 2 words elsewhere. I don't know why it does the math like this, but it does it for a total of negative 333 words. That was mostly a lot of like copying and pasting and editing. That day was on December 22nd when I had written a total of negative 333 words. This statistic is a little bit confusing. So the maximum words I wrote in a day was 5,053 words. The maximum day for other documents was 5,543 words. And then maximum number of words written in a day just overall in the entire project was 6,242 words. But that day was December 19th. I had written only 699 words in the draft, but I had written 5,543 words in other documents that are not considered a draft. So think of like outtakes or like documents where I'm like, okay, I have to write this scene, but I can't put it in a specific chapter, so I'm just gonna put it elsewhere. And so the total words that I had written for that day was 6,242. So on the day before that, on December 18th, I had written 5,053 words in the draft, 0 words in other documents, for a total of 5,053 words altogether for the project. I feel like these numbers are also kind of a bit skewed because I had a few days where I had written past midnight, and with the writing history, it doesn't count like sessions, it counts by like the actual days. So let's say during one of my writing sessions, I had written 3,000 words in total. But if let's say 2,000 words were written after midnight, Scrivener will say that I had only written 1,000 words on that first day, and then 2,000 of those words will be counted towards the next day. So my writing history is not completely accurate, but it does give me a sense of like how much I have written each day and just like what my pacing's like. I feel like I had learned a lot during this Writemas challenge. It's kind of like the same things that I realize when I do writing sprints like this, like NaNoWriMo or Can't NaNoWriMo, but it's good to have those reminders every now and then, especially when I feel lost and stuck with my creative stuff. One of those things is that I need to have a set schedule. I need to have a set routine. I need to have no distractions. So doing the 20-minute sprints helped me so much instead of just being like, oh, I'm gonna write here and there, I'm gonna write. Like having a set time and having a camera and y'all bearing witness to me writing has just been really helpful, and just like, I gotta write something. I'm gonna look ridiculous if I don't write something on camera. Another thing that I have learned through this challenge is that I'm very much a plantser and I don't know what's gonna happen until I try something out, which is kind of scary for me because as a dancer and an actor, I really do not like improv, but I am very much a hands-on learner and problem solver, so I just need to do the thing to figure it out. And unfortunately or fortunately, that means that I have to write out a scene to see if it's going to work. And I felt like I was doing a lot of that as I was writing, especially with a lot of like the copying and pasting from previous drafts into new drafts, writing a scene and then kind of realizing halfway through, oh, I actually don't want it to go this way. I actually want to do something else. Like one very obvious example is the fact that I changed the setting of the second part while I was writing the second part. It was kind of set up in the first part where they're talking about the mission and whatnot. And then like as they were on the mission, I was like, wait, no, I actually don't want them to go there. I want them to go somewhere else. I kind of hate to admit this, but I'm very much a perfectionist, and growing up, I was able to do a lot of things right the first time. This is like mostly related to dance and academics, but like in other things, especially in things that I struggle with, like for example, ballet, if I don't get something right the first time, I get really frustrated and discouraged and really just don't want to do it anymore. But with Writemas, I was like, no, I'm going to stick to my challenge. I'm going to stick to my goal. I'm I'm gonna figure this out, and if I can't figure this out right now, we're gonna put some placeholders in and we're gonna move on to the next thing. Which worked out because I feel like by working on other scenes, I was able to kind of problem solve. Sometimes you gotta do just like a little reverse engineering. And that's what I feel like a lot of my writing was doing. Because I had like a pretty general idea of how the story was going. I had a general idea of how the characters are. And I kind of just had to like rip it apart and like figure it out and deconstruct the entire thing and be like, what is this? Which I know I was very frustrated at times, but I'm really happy I did it because now I feel like I have a better understanding of the characters, I have better understanding of the story. Well, I still have like a lot of plot holes and a lot of things to address. One of the big things is just like the fact that this draft is not finished. I really started to fall in love with writing again, and especially writing this story. Because I mentioned in one of the vlogs that I had started writing this story specifically in like 2021, and ever since then I've just never been able to finish a first draft of this. So I've never had like that satisfying moment of writing the end. I've always kept starting from page 1, from chapter 1, or in this case, prologue. And this is probably the farthest I've gotten with the entire project, so I'm gonna give myself a little pat on the back for that. Moving forward, I do want to figure out a writing routine that's a little bit more sustainable, and I would love to continue documenting the process, not just for y'all, but also for my sake, just so I could see like how far I've come, and also because I have a memory of a goldfish. So let me know if you want to see like weekly vlogs, weekly updates. I also want to try streaming, but I have to figure out how to do the setup because me and OBS, we're enemies. My next goal is to definitely finish this before my birthday, which is in May, so we got 5 months. But I also don't want to like step away from this for too long because I definitely want to finish this and do at least 1 round of edits. But it's just been so much fun to get back into writing and to get back into this journey, and I can't wait to see what else I come up with. So with that, thank you so much for joining me in my writing and my yapping. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!